Well, for this month's e-magazine, I'm back here at Gull Valley on one of my favourite lakes, the Middle Lake. And it really is a fantastic peg and place to come for me to demonstrate the technique that's been really paying off for me lately. As you know, we've had quite an extended summer. It's stayed quite warm. We've had an odd cold night, but nothing to really put the fish down. And what's happening is the fish are still on the same methods, but they're slightly harder to catch. They've been fished for shallow and in the edges for quite a long time now, and these are the two tactics that I'm going to actually cover today, but with a little bit of a twist. You all know I'm a fan of piling the bait in, fishing heavy and aggressive. It's important in fishing to realise when what you're doing isn't quite right. And returning from the World Championships, I went straight back into fishing here at Gull Valley, aggressive. Okay, yeah, I caught some fish, lots of bait, but I just got the feeling I wasn't catching as many fish as I should, and other people were catching more fish than me. Just by tweaking it, a few days here on other matches and lessons, and I've come up with an approach that I know is working on other venues, not just here. The two approaches I'm going to show you today, like I've already spoke about, one shallow. The rig I'm using today, you can see here, all the shot is situated underneath the float. The rig's about 4 foot long, and what this enables me to do is just to swing it out past my pole tip, away from the shadow of my pole, away from any disturbance, and just lay the rig in. And it really is amazing sometimes how these fish get clued up and streetwise exactly what's happening in their backyard. A month or two ago you could come to this specific peg, rain in pellets on a waggler, catch 20 carp that would all be pulling your rod round. For instance, I fished here last week, 2 hours on a waggler, never had a bite. Went on a pole and hooked one immediately, and like I say, ended up coming second in the match. The main line on the rig is 0.18 through to an 0.16 hook length and a size 18 pellet waggler hook from Guru. It says pellet waggler, but it's one of my favourite hooks for straight lead waggler and on the pole. It really is a nice hook to use. 0.18 match winner main line, again one of the most tough, durable lines on the market. When you're coming down in diameter, it's even more important to have a real good quality line. The hook length is 0.16 match winner, again 10-inch hook length, all the shot underneath the float, and again the float to me very, very important. A 0.3 clear dibber from Drennan. When you're fishing for shy fish, fish that get spooked easy, a nice clear float, but again with a nice bright visual top, so you're only striking at proper bites that fly under, is a must for me. The elastic is a grey hydro, again set nice and soft. The fish are going to tear off when you do hook them, and the last thing I want to do with 0.16 hook length is have a real strong elastic. For a lot of people that fish for F1s and small carp, this is still going to be heavy, but you've got to be mindful of the fact that the fish in here average 5 to 10 pound, so that is quite light for these size fish. I've got a duplicate rig up exactly the same. That gives you an idea of the length of the rig. It's measured at around about 4 foot, like I say, grey hydro, fitted with a puller kit, because even on 0.16 and an 18 hook, you can still give the fish a little bit of stick if you end up catching a few. The hook is an 18 pellet waggler hook with a small pellet band just tied directly onto the hair. Just one little tip with this when you're fishing like this, short hook lengths for me are a no-no. What you don't want when you've got shy biting fish that are going to get spooked easy is a knot very close to the actual hook bait. So what I've done, I've elongated the hook length, just tied a few up, 10 inches, and that gets the knot, the loop to loop, well away from the hook bait, and it's obviously not going to spook as many fish. So that's the rig for shallow. I've got a duplicate set up. As far as the edge is concerned, again, it might be a bit eye-opening to some people the way that I'm actually fishing in the edge, but like I say, I never ever go fishing thinking I know everything. I never go fishing 100% confident, and I think these two things is what keeps me on edge and keeps me competing at the highest level. This rig's totally different to, say, my KC Rock 020, 022 straight through, size 10, size 12. It's just not working at the moment. So what we've got is a Team Darwa 6, quite a thick top float, not massively thick, a lot more sensitive than normal. Again, a short line, 0.18 main line, coming down, a nice staggered bulk, just 4 number 9s, a much smaller float. A nice hook length there of 0.16, a little bit of a bigger hook again, that's a size 12 gamma pellet hook, but again, a much finer hook than I would normally use. A bit like caster fishing in the old days, The hook doesn't concern me too much if I can get the whole of the hook inside the hook bait, which I can with a nice 8mm bit of meat. Biggest differences with this rig: light lines, 016 to 018, and a much lighter float. Again, as soon as I changed to fishing like this, my catch rate in the edge, not just here but on other venues, went through the roof. The elastic is slightly heavier, but again, a nice soft black hydro, not set pingy, set nice and loose. Again, there's some big fish in this lake and a lot of other commercials. Again, scent dead depth. I'm fishing a top 5.5 to my left, and I'm going to be feeding small balls of old ghost green alga laced with 6 and 8mm meat. This would just be fed after every fish. Very similar, but a much toned down version of edge fishing as far as feeding is concerned, and as far as the strength of line and strength of hook is concerned. It is a bit of an eye-opener because I very rarely fish like this, only when my angling brain and my gut instincts telling me that it's important. And it's very important for you to realise this. Really trust your instincts, follow the thoughts that you have and the sort of instincts and the gut feeling that you get, and go and try it, because quite often if you're thinking it in fishing, if you've got a good angling brain, you need to be doing it. I'm now going to talk about the bait I bought for today's session. 8mm pellets for fishing shallow. The biggest difference is the amount. In the match here at the weekend, I've fed less than a pint of 8mm pellets. So you can see I've not got a massive amount. When you're only pinging 2 or 3 at a time and not that regular, you obviously don't need a lot. I've got a few more with me for those days when they might respond to a bit more, or when you've got a lot of fish in front of you. A pint to a pint and a half seems to be more than enough. 8mm on the hair as well. As far as the pole's concerned, I'm just going to feed this as and when I get time. Obviously when I go on it, I'll be feeding a small ball through a pot virtually every cast, but again, being patient. For the pole, I've got some 6 and 8mm cubed meat that was cubed up this morning. Again, for the hook and a little bit of feed, I can add this to my ground bait. The ground bait mix, like I've said, is old ghost green alga, my favourite ground bait really. And again, what I've done is I put around about a pint of meat into the tray and then enough ground bait just to hold it together, and that's what I've been feeding. Again, it's not a lot of bait to introduce to your peg, but it's quite a powerful mix and it does still hold the fish. But the most important thing is I'm not introducing a massive carpet of bait, a big volume of bait that I know these fish are definitely shying away from. So all I do, if I catch a fish, I'll just top up with a small ball, like I say, slightly smaller than a golf ball. This will be deposited in, but when I'm actually fishing, I'll be topping up with a small ball virtually every cast or after every bite or hooked fish of this mix. Again, a lot of people feed their meat and ground bait separate. Sometimes I do that, but at the moment they definitely come into a little tiny nugget of ground bait, and that breaks up really quickly. And what I want is my meat, my ground bait in exactly the same place, and then I can put my float directly on top. When you're not fishing for many fish, obviously accuracy is definitely one of the key ingredients to catching 1 or 2 fish. That's why I like to feed everything together.